Hey, board gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with another episode of Gumbo Live. It's episode number 163, Gumbo Live, the number one Tuesday night Facebook Live talk show in Blandford Station, Canada, dedicated to board games. Our special guest tonight, we've got DARYL Andrews, the co-designer of so many games. It would take me an hour to go through them all, but you know, Sagarda and Dice Theme Park, two of my favorites. Also a developer with Maestro Media. We're going to talk to him about some of his travels, and co-host of the new Nerd About show with our friend Corey Thompson. So I want to hear a little bit about this show if we get a chance. Hit us up on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, or on Bluesky at Board Game Gumbo. We'll be looking for your questions in the chat crew, but also a quick show note. Don't forget about our tickets to Southern Game Fest. That's right. Southern Board Game Fest is coming up March 29th and 30th. Right here in Lafayette, Louisiana. You'll get Cajun food, got lots of board games. We're going to have some designers here like Jason Dinger and Carla Kopp. So come on down, check out www.southerngamefest.com for your tickets. We want to see you there. But enough blather. Let's get right to our special guest. I'm bringing him in. DARYL Andrews. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
DARYL, this has like been years I've been trying to get you on the show. I'm so excited to have you on there. I even wore my snow-covered Asics shirt.
Nice.
Just because, well, it's the Christmas season, but also because, DARYL, where are you from? Give us the elevator pitch. Who is DARYL Andrews?
Yeah, well, I live in Toronto, Canada, the Great White North, right. where the whites naturally come down. I'm jealous of your probably nice temperatures, but
I ran this morning in 64-degree weather.
Oh, gross! Oh man, I'd go swimming in that.
The kids swam this weekend.
Oh man, I'm one of those crazy Canucks that wear shorts through the winter. So I'm always trying to be optimistic that maybe it'll just warm up. You know,
okay,
maybe
so
global warming.
I have never been to Canada in the wintertime. Like,
right?
How cold is it really?
Okay, well, I gotta maybe chat can help me out because I'm bad at translating Fahrenheit to Celsius. But I'm gonna guess. I'm guessing it's like low 40s here. Maybe
so low 40s would be Celsius?
No, so that would be my guess at the Fahrenheit. We're basically break-even zero of like, you know, there's ice on the ground, snow sometimes dropping right now.
I think 0 degrees Celsius translates to like negative 50 Fahrenheit or something like that. I have no idea. Literally, I'm terrible. I can't do the conversion at all. So
I just kind of guess. It like sounds close, right?
So 100 degrees Celsius is that hot?
Oh yeah. That's boiling. That's how you literally boil water.
Well, that's 212 Fahrenheit. Then
that's 212. Yeah. So
all right. So
I don't know where the curve works out somewhere there.
Oh
but
yeah, it must be like that.
It's complicated. Yeah. It's mathy.
Okay, so but in terms maybe not of degrees. Does it get pretty cold up in Toronto?
Oh yeah, it gets cold. It gets cold. Although ironically, I just moved a year ago, and the city that I moved from, which is only 2 hours away, had this much snow last weekend.
Ooh, okay.
And I have this like it's barely staying on the ground. So,
yeah. So I just kind of Googled a city between Montreal and Toronto, and I came up with Blandford Station. I don't even know where that is.
I love it. I don't know where that is either.
Sorry,
but hopefully we get someone to watch from there.
I was like, you know, if DARYL's ever on whatever the interstate is called up there, I'm like, maybe he knows the exit for Blandford Station. He might go, I know that one. Oh, okay,
honestly, I mean, I love Montreal. I'm a sucker for taking the train. It's just like a nice, easy going experience to get to take the train. But I have been on a few road trips that way. But our towns in between are pretty small.
But so, you're famous because I mean you're famous for your love of a different baseball team, not Les Expos.
No, I will say I am a loyal Toronto Blue Jays fan, and may own too many hats. But yeah, I was at that perfect age when the Blue Jays won the World Series. So I was, I
92,
fell in love.
93?
Yeah, 90. Great memory. Yeah. So 92,
I
93.
remember the hit. I remember the hit off of the Wild Thing, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Joe Carter hit that big home run. I was 10 years old. It was like the perfect moment to fall in love. And so, my love for baseball, I was hooked forever that at that point I knew, I had a lover in baseball. And so I actually got chosen as Major League Baseball Canada's biggest baseball fan.
Oh my God.
10 years ago. So
I think I read something about that, and I want to bring the name father in because I want to ask him a question. Steve, did you know an early foreshadowing?
Foreshadowing, right?
Did you know that Daryl holds not one but two world records? One of them he just mentioned. He's the world record Blue Jays fan. What do you think the other one? If you had to guess, what do you think the other world record that Daryl
fastest conversion of Celsius to Fahrenheit?
How bad did we do that?
Thank you for perpetuating the ugly American stereotype around the world, BJ. Well done.
Oh man, have you seen the Saturday Night Live skit with Nate Bargatze? I mean,
I love that one.
Come on, that's a great one.
That was a great skit.
It's a good skit.
I don't know what the other record is. That's a good one.
So Daryl, do you know what the other world record is?
I don't know. I'm curious what I'm record holder for.
Rumor has it that you hold the world record for longest person to go without sleeping. And you can tell us that story. Is that true?
Well, maybe in Board Game World, I might.
Board Game World. That's right.
Yeah, I might be guilty of that. I've definitely done some all-nighters at conventions where I haven't been able to get some sleep. But I'm surprised I didn't get for sleeping.
No, it was something. No, it was something about your eyes that the doctor wouldn't let you close your eyes.
Oh, yeah. Wow, you do your research,
Steve. We go way in there, right?
Cut. Absolutely. I actually, I got
catalog.
Well, I'll let you tell the story. Yeah,
I don't even know how you found out this story. This is wow, that's impressive. Yeah, do you
remember your third grade teacher? She was awesome. She gave me so much good stuff. But go ahead, Daryl. I'll let you tell the story.
So, well, I got an eye infection. And it was so wild that the eye doctors actually started pulling in students to come see my eyes because there was such a unique combo of like this crazy thing. And so my eyes were twitching, and I couldn't be in bright light. And I actually put myself in my basement and put a blanket over the TV, and I would listen. I listened to the Olympics while sitting in my dark basement with my eyes.
Love this story.
It was crazy. It got it while I was in Jacksonville, Florida, and I was driving back home, and I was just get me to the hospital. So literally, when we crossed the border, we went straight to a hospital, and this all went down. And then I lived in my basement for a few weeks. I thought I was going to lose my sight. Legitimately, I just was well, it's been great. I love what I got to see in this world. And even when I would go to the doctor, I had to absolutely cover my eyes up because the sun was too bright to be outside.
And your eyes are drying out and you're trying to stay up. And
they would twitch and they would take up. Man, you do your research. I haven't even thought about that for years.
We are both Geeks of the Week, and you mentioned it. It's part of your Geek of the Week many years ago. So I've been saving that one for a while.
You don't want to have the situation come up where a doctor says, "What's happening?"
Right. Yeah. We got to show everybody this one.
He's Googling it, trying to figure out I don't even know what's going on with this guy.
No, and they were a specialist. This is the wild part too. I lived in London, Ontario, and that was one of the best hospitals in the world at the time. And so I visited one of the world's best eye specialists, and they wanted to use that to teach the students. And I was like, hold on, I just want to feel better, y'all.
You never want that to happen. So, hey, our friend Evan is checking in. Too many hats on the man's head. Steve, who does the better Evan or Daryl? Because have you ever seen any of Daryl's social media posts?
I have not seen Daryl's Evan impression. But Evaning has become a verb here.
When Daryl takes a picture, it's always the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the big thing. And I don't know. I think personally Daryl's the original. I think
I have to include Verla in that because Verla has been on an Evaning,
I'm happy to be just part of the club. I will say
Part of the
my
club.
all-time favorite moment of it happening. So I found out from Eric Lang. He at the time he was working for Come On or Simon. I always forget what they wanted to be called now.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept telling me that David Preddy hates it. That he would just every so often be like, "You got to tell your buddy Daryl to close his mouth," and he would say it over and over again. So finally, we're at Gen Con, and David Preddy and Eric are there, and Eric points at me, and he goes, and he beelines it to me, and David starts yelling at me about, "Dude, you got to stop with the open mouth and photos." And as he's doing that, I did the face, and Eric Lang took a photo.
Oh,
So
no.
I have a recurring Facebook every Gen Con picture that reminds me, and it's him yelling at me while I'm like, oh, I love that photo. Every year.
Your protege Evan is really doing a good job with it too. He always does that face when we take pictures,
Spread
and
the
we
good
started
news.
doing it. Verla and I started doing it at BGGCon. So all of our pictures at BGGCon, we're all like,
I love it. I love it.
so
You
Bring
don't
the
have to pose
energy.
the smile. Just open your mouth as wide as you can. It's the same picture every time. You love it.
It's so much fun.
It's joyful.
I haven't done the bunny ears. That's Eric
Yeah.
Lang's thing. So I'm not.
That's
gonna do
his
the bunny
thing.
ears.
I found out actually a few industry people play a little insider game where you can score points. You score 1 point if you get a photo with me with my mouth open. That is the lowest and easiest way to score.
Right.
The way to get 2 points is bunny ears from Eric Lang.
Okay.
And then everything else is worth like 20, 30 points.
Oh, wow. So they're pretty easy to do then. How much is it if you can do the bunny ears without Eric knowing? That would be worth points,
tough.
right?
That's tough. That's tough.
Okay.
Daryl, I think, did the mouth before he even knew me. So I don't know who was first. I'm going to go with Daryl. He's been doing it for a while. Berta said those are her favorite picks from BGGCon. Man, Daryl, we didn't get to play a game. You were kind of busy when I was playing a game right next to you, but how much do you love BGGCon? Out of all the conventions,
amazing.
Where is it? Where is it ranks for you?
Oh, I mean, it's honestly one of the cons that I get to play the most games. So for me, it's being a gamer. So it's like super fun. It's like very, very little work that I'm doing there. So I'm very thankful when I get to go to BGG. Unfortunately, I missed it a few years sometimes because of other conventions that were booked very close to it. But I had a hoot. Actually, the gentleman that I was hanging out with, I don't know if you recognized him at all, but it was his first BGG, but it was actually Matt Kint. And so Matt Kint is a comic writer, and he wrote Mind Management.
Oh,
so the game Management was based on his comic.
Yes.
From Jay's game.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then and his most recent comic was actually co-written with Keanu Reeves.
Wow.
He did a comic with Berserker. So he asked me, what con can I actually sit around and play games with you? And that's why I encouraged him, let's go to BGG. And so we could actually play some games together.
That's very cool.
So, Steve, I would have friends that if they knew that I was standing there at a table chatting with Daryl, and there's Matthew Kent right there, they would have been like, that's the guy you should have been talking to.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm hearing my friend Adam screaming at me, saying the exact same thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's funny how the worlds collide, but it must have been a joy for you to introduce this world of board gaming for him. I mean, was he swimming in the deep end, or is he?
He's deep into games now. Okay. The last few years, he's actually come to Gen Con, and the problem is I never can hang out with him. So like, I carve out like 1 hour that usually I can see him, maybe 2. This last year I got to introduce him to Skyrise. That was the only game I got to play with him. Great game, love that game. Yeah. And that was actually at Gen Con. But he's hooked. But it's funny because, like, for instance, one of the conventions now I've been going to for the last, 7 or 8 years is San Diego Comic-Con. And what a cool convention. And I would never have got to go except for I worked for IDW for a few years. Right. And so they got me in, and ever since I'm like, well, I got to keep going so I don't lose my in. But I can't meet up with Matt at San Diego Comic-Con. He's too busy. So it's like, in that world, I can do anything. Nobody knows who I am. And there he's talking at Hall H in front of thousands of people. Right. And then at a game con like Gen Con, it's hard for me to carve out 2 hours to just hang out. So
You're
need
busy.
different worlds.
We need a third thing to geek out over that's independent of both of you. We can just go and kind of both go and be attendees.
Totally.
I tell people all the time, man, if you really want, if there's a person you've been interacting with, online, and you always want to play games with them, you've switched emails or you talked about it, you can do it at BGGCon because there's so many less meetings. There's time. Even the exhibit hall, you can walk through the exhibit hall and just chat with people. At Gen Con, it's like get them through as quickly as possible. It's different. BGGCon has become my favorite, even though I have a soft spot for Dice Tower because I'm a big Disney nerd, and my wife and I love going to Orlando during the summertime, and we can do Dice Tower. BGGCon just has that vibe, and it's right there for us. It's only a 6-hour drive, so it's just
that's a beautiful thing.
Have you been to Dice Tower Con?
I have. Again, that was one I had got to go to a couple times, but the summer just got so crazy. It's hard to get to them all. So I rotate through them, but it's been a few years. My favorite story actually from Dice Tower East is there's a gentleman. I won't say his name because it might put him in a weird spot, but he worked for Asmodee, one of the like Nordic, and so we had like a meeting in the swimming pool. We chatted some business, and the swimming pool there's got a cool waterfall, and it's got. So I love it. I live in that pool. So like I literally said like, well, you want to talk business? I'll be in the swimming pool. So I had a meeting with him, and then I had back-to-back meetings. I had one with Berkey, and I
had a meeting with Berkey in that pool.
And I just go like, oh, I love that I can say I did meetings in a swimming pool. Well, anyways, I bump into this guy from Asmodee at Essen, and he goes, "Oh, hey, Daryl," and I go, "Oh, it's weird to see you with so much clothes on for a meeting."
It's funny that Jamie brought this up. Thank you for the question, because that's exactly what I wanted to talk to Daryl about. Next year, PAX Unplugged for the first time in many years is going to be the same week as BGGCon. Thoughts?
Yeah. So that happened the very first year.
Yeah,
if people remember. And at the time, thankfully, I was hanging out with Aldi, and I said, "Hey, I'm loyal to BGG. You make me a special guest, I'm there. I picked my side. I know whose side I'm on." And so the very first year I picked my allegiance that time. I don't know if I'll be able to this year because some work demands pull me to PAX sometimes, but it sucks that people are put in that position that they have.
Well, Steve and I were chatting about this last week. I mean, PAX U that first year, roughly about the same size as BGGCon, maybe a little bigger, but now it's 5 or 6 times as big. And the exit. Oh, look,
there he is. We summoned him.
Berkey, we were just talking about the meetings that we all had in the pool. Berkey and I met in the pool planning the Southern Board Game Fest, the trip that he eventually made. So amazing. And I hear Daryl also had meetings with Berkey in the pool.
Yeah, we had a meeting, and we were talking. It was the first evolution of his toppers, and so we were talking about that for the upcoming Gen Con. At the time, I worked for IDW, and Berkey provided some toppers for IDW so that we could feature them. He had different booths. He had them all positioned throughout the show, and it really had a wow factor because people are like, every time someone saw them, we go, "How do I get one of these?" So,
yeah. Oh, I've got a question for Berkey if he's going to hang out in the chat for a second.
Yeah.
This year we had an amazing Baseball Highlights 2045 tournament. We had 16 people show up, including Mike Fitzgerald and Ralph Anderson. We gave out all kind of cool stuff. Berkey had some of the stuff from the game toppers, the Baseball Highlights mats.
Oh, yeah.
But what about this time? He's got PAX U and BG. I still have the stuff right here, Berkey. I've got boxes of all of our stuff ready for next year's tournament. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, and Evan came out second, by the way. He lost to Philip Millman, who's,
I mean, Phil's got some bragging rights.
Yeah, so. He's pretty good. Are you a Baseball Highlights 2045 fan?
I am. I'm a fan. I mean, I'm a fan of anything baseball. I will. I'll give a little tease here. Actually, I have a little baseball game. I actually designed it as a micro game a long time ago.
Yours. I played Fantasy Baseball, of course.
So Fantasy Baseball was one of my very first games, and I had actually this little game design that I called at the time Ninth Inning, which then later bottom of the ninth came out and and all that. and so I got away from the name. But I actually also just kind of put it on the back burner. But I just had a meeting last week, and there's a small chance that it'll be coming out with a really cool license. I can't say what license, but I'll hint at it because then technically I didn't say it. But if you were a kid and you had to chew on something to act like you were a big leaguer.
Wow.
Yeah, so I didn't say anything. But
so it's going to be sponsored by Skull or Copenhagen.
Right, exactly.
No.
Yeah, a lot of
just
wow,
that
is fantastic. Oh no,
So-
Evan, you're
Oh,
going. Evan, you're gonna get
I
in
don't
trouble.
know what you're talking about. I don't know.
Oh no!
man.
Oh well, this isn't going out in the podcast feed because the you actually can't read the words on there. So
there you go.
That is
all
fun.
right, our secret.
Yeah, fantasy baseball. One of the first reviews I ever did, Steve, was fantasy baseball way back in the day.
Oh
so.
man, that takes me
Good
back.
to have both you and Berkey here because we've got pictures with wide mouth and we're talking with happy mouth. We got it all covered.
We got happy mouth.
We got
Yeah.
it.
2 wide mouths.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, blame it on you. BJ from Wargame Gumbo. I've got my guest here, DARYL Andrews, and we're talking some spicy hot games. And I have got to talk to you about a game, DARYL. There's a game that I really want. Let me see if I can throw it up there for you. Where is my thing? Sorry about that. I should have had this ready, but we were having so much fun talking about this other stuff. So both Steve and I are big fans of Wolfgang Kramer, and somehow you've landed not 1 but 2 games coming out with the Kramer. Tell us about Leyline.
I mean, I will say first off, Wolfgang Kramer is the #1 game designer in my opinion. Undisputed, has to be on everyone's Mount Rushmore.
There's a bunch of games right here.
He is the greatest. I mean, and then you know how they say never meet your heroes. It actually came around. It's kind of a funny roundabout story that actually started at Dice Tower to bring it back to Dice Tower East. But I was walking around and I saw the Restoration Games team play testing a prototype, a homemade prototype, and I walked by and I said, I know that game, but why is this a prototype? And they said, oh, we don't want to give it away, but it's an old Wolfgang Kramer game from the 80s. And I said, yeah, I know that game. And I still can't say it properly, but Oxel, or AUFACHES, was an 80s Wolfgang game about trucking. And it was, it actually won the Spiel des Jahres, and it never actually had an English North American release. Somehow in my childhood, I ended up getting a copy of this game.
Really?
Or something. I don't know why. Probably stumbled into it at a Goodwill or a Value Village or something. Loved it. And so I recognized it. I recognized them playing it, but they made a homemade version so no one could tell what they were playing. And they said, well, why do you like this game? And I, talked about how I loved it. I grew up on it. And they said, well, do you want to meet Wolfgang and work with him? So they are 100% to blame in all the best ways for introducing us. Now, fast forward, it ended up that a little game called Dark Tower took a lot of time and effort, and they released the game, and we kept in touch, me and Wolfgang, and we modified it in a bunch of ways, and it became Leylines, this game with Arcane Wonders that's coming out in the new year. And so it's this reimagined pickup and delivery game, but instead of truckers, you're running around this magical forest, following the ley lines, while picking up and delivering different components to these little kind of magical characters in the Celtic forest. And I love it. It's I am obviously biased. I was already a fan, but we did some really fun things with Arcane Wonders. Robert Geislinger gave a lot of his own personal effort into it, really helping play test, and he could have put himself as a third designer on this box. All the work
Robert put that much into it, huh?
He put a lot of attention into this game. He really wanted it to be, a real honoring of the original game, but also taking all we've learned over the last 30, 40 years and make an even better version.
I love everything I'm hearing. There's only one problem. There's almost no information on BGG yet. We've got the cover, and that's about it. Oh, I can't wait to hear.
I got to see a production copy at Essen. He had an early edition, and I actually got to show it to Wolfgang's brother. Wolfgang wasn't at this year's Essen, but we sent some photos, and I got to show it off to his brother. So that was really neat. I actually over the last few years, ever since that initial introduction from restoration, I've usually hung out with Wolfgang and his wife at Essen each year, and he's honored me with actually a bunch of his games that he has me kind of restoring and reimagining and reinventing right now.
Okay.
Ley lines. It looks. I mean, the cover looks fantastic. The pedigree sounds like something that you really enjoyed. I can't wait to get more information on it. Do you have any idea when we should be getting some news?
Yeah, I mean, the hope, if everything goes right, Robert told me he's going to try to beat Chinese New Year's with the print, but it's
Okay.
it's time right now of, if everything goes right and everything gets to the printer, the goal would be then to get it back for the whole summer season. Worst case, if it's on the back end, it doesn't get here till Gen Con, but if it's able to be done before Chinese New Year, then they're usually able to get it kind of going on the earlier summer shows.
So hopefully at Gen Con or maybe even earlier. Oh, that sounds great. Ley lines. I see it's 2 to 6 players. It plays comfortably at any of those play.
Yeah, that was part of our tension. I don't know, because it did get back and forth about maybe reducing it to 5 just to get the price point down, and people could house rule bringing in a 6-player. I don't know what was the final decision on that, so that might have been modified. But
And it's based on this one off.
That's it. Yeah, that was the OG back in '87. So
interesting. I don't know this game, but it sounds like, I mean, nothing against trucking, but this has a cool theme with some gorgeous art. Steven Gibson.
Yeah, the art is amazing. It gives me that like classic Days of Wonder vibe.
Wait,
it's just like,
is it Daniel Leesky? Is that related to Harold?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Good question.
I wonder.
I do love Harold's work. I mean, pretty prolific stuff. But
that would be interesting. That would be interesting. All right, so Ley lines, check that out. Should be coming sometime this summer, right?
Yeah,
if we're lucky.
Yeah, no, that's the plan. Unless a curveball comes, I think everything's in place for that one.
Oh, our friend Panda. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Amanda, how's it going? BJ, we're going to come up. I've got my guest here, DARYL Andrews. We're talking spicy hot games, and Steve, I'm a Disney nerd.
When you said we have a game we need to talk about, I thought the Disney was coming out first. I mean,
it should have been first, but I'm gonna cool it a little bit. So
I like it.
I'm definitely gonna geek out on this one. My family's worked for Disney. I grew up at Disney. I was there in 1971 or 72. I've been going for years. I want to hear. And you did this one also with Wolfgang Kramer.
Yeah,
tell us about Donald. By the way, I love Steve. If you're an old Disney fan, you're going to love this title because it's Donald Duck in Happy Camper, which is just a callback.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah,
all those great short.
We really wanted
Donald's top billing.
Yeah, I was in shock when this opportunity came around. I will tell you, this came together as a miracle from Maestro Media. I've been, and I'll talk more about it later, but I've been consulting for them now, coming up to 2 years. And we had the opportunity around this time last year where they told us, hey, next year is Donald Duck's 90th. And if there was any way to pull off a game, we'd give you the opportunity to make that. And we thought, well, the only way we could probably do that in time is if we worked from a game that's already established and then we adapt it. And it has to be the right fit. It has to be a good enough game that we're already working from a good place. And as I mentioned, the last few years, I started working with restoring some of Wolfgang Kramer's older games. And one that I was already working on was an older game that he made called Goldland. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Again, it's 20, 30 years old. It had a very limited release in North America. It has a very iconic cover, actually. That archway. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So people will often recognize that cover.
Yeah, I've seen that cover.
But it was pretty rare to get around. And it came out at the same time as Lost Valley.
Okay.
And has a very similar vibe. The two games were often compared back then. And Lost Valley, I feel like, kind of won in the North American battle, and Goldland kind of won in the Europe battle. Mm-hmm. But that was kind of the landscape back then. And so I, again, was a big fan of it. Loved the idea that in the original game it was a tile exploration game. Wanted to get away from gold, and there's enough games about that. And so when talking with Wolfgang, said, well, what do you think if it was about camping and celebrating the story of Donald? Everyone thinks of Donald as just like angry. But what I love about Donald is Donald's the full range. Donald is loyal, hardworking. He takes in his nephews. Whenever like troubles come around, they always work them out. And so when talking to Disney and kind of pitching this idea of just the most classic thing, going camping with your kids, I was like, that to me is Donald. And we really then like tied into some of the original films like Good Scout and such that were 90-year-old films, and said, well, why couldn't we capture that moment with this game, echo to the 90 years and echo to even an old-time designer like Kramer, but modernize it just like Donald has been around for a long haul and also is still modern today, still applies today. So we felt like it was a really cool marriage, but only by the fact that everyone at Maestro, like all hands on deck, because it's impossible to normally pull off a game in a year.
Sure.
They actually managed to get it printed. We had a pre-order that we just fulfilled or is in fulfillment right now so that we can just squeak in for, this year, some copies. It'll be in stores in the new year. So it'll probably land, I'm guessing, January, February.
Mass market type thing?
And it hopefully will be at your local game store and maybe some mass markets. Literally, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, the CEO flew to China, and there are videos and pictures of him on the assembly line with our game. So we know they were getting made. We know they're in the mail, but it does take some time.
Daryl, I grew up with the comic books. Steve, I don't know if you did you read any of the Donald Duck comic books? He was actually it wasn't Mickey for me. It was Donald Duck that I followed in the comic books.
Same.
And these scenes of them camping, that's what it was. The Ducks were Huey, Louie, and Dewey were doing the Boy Scout camping, and Donald was out there, and of course there was always Scrooge McDuck too. Evan mentions that, but there was a lot.
That would have had to stay. That would have had to stay Goldland.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that was where we were like, okay, Gold and Scrooge are a little attached. It's funny, actually, and I'm really thankful. We got to work directly with Disney, and we would meet with them every week, which was incredible. They would check in, and every little detail, they were working alongside us to make sure we were doing something that was honoring to such, an incredible license has been so long-standing. And they had the great idea of actually, originally it was Daisy instead of Webby. And we were going to have as our character in the line. And they said, well, why don't you go to Webby? Even though Webby came in a little later, what's fun is we have actually Donald is like a round tracker, and he's moving around the camp, and you go out, and if you can get to where Donald is, you get some perk. Okay. But if you can't get to him, you as one of the 4 players, so you get to play as the nephews or as Webby. And so it felt like even more true that it's like the kids are camping, troop leader Donald's out there doing his thing. And does he even notice that the kids are running around and building fires and building camps, and they're incredible at everything. They're earning all their merit badges. And then the week's done for the camping trip, and he's back in the car, and you got to, pair up and head home. And so it just felt like the story was right.
Boxes never, a lot of times the box ages have to do more with the components and everything else. Where do you put this? Is this a family style game? Is this
it is. I mean,
game?
I play tested it. Now I will caveat. I played with some 8 and 9-year-old gamer kids. So kids that grew up in households. That's not always this like 1-to-1 ratio.
Right.
But I definitely had a lot of fun with some of my play testers. I was adamant about, I don't want you just coming and play testing. I want your kids to come. So we definitely got to play test this with a nice mix. And then also during our play testing, a couple of our developers managed to also provide a lot of family play testing outside. So after the game was made, we really wanted to put it through its paces. So we offered some programs that were online, either through Reddit or other ways, where play testers were able to print off and play test the games themselves.
I'm excited. This one actually looks.
I love the look of it. It's modern but timeless. You could see that exact same pose of them marching behind Donald from decades ago. I love it.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's going to be fun. But you've mentioned Maestro Media a bunch, and I know you're doing development work for them. Is that right?
Well, so
What's the
it's
story
funny.
with Maestro Media?
Yeah, Meister Media. I met them actually a couple years ago.
Ludwig von Drake.
That's,
Maybe.
that's Kevin throwing the deep knowledge there.
I love that. I can't say any Disney's real lockdown on info, so I don't want to get in trouble with Disney in any way. But yeah, you'll notice here the Smurfs games, Maestro Media did that, and they did a Hello Kitty game and a few others that are just now popping. But actually, rewind 2 years ago, they were kind of only known for one game. They did a really successful Kickstarter for a game called Binding of Isaac.
Oh yeah,
And
sure.
that's based on the indie video game. It was a huge hit on Kickstarter, but they hadn't really done anything beyond expansions and things like that for that game. They brought me in and kind of said, like, hey, can you help us go from being the Binding of Isaac company to, a game company?
Oh, okay.
And I felt very honored that they brought me on as a consultant. I've always been kind of on the side, so I'm still a freelance game designer, but it makes it a little easier to have a consulting job where, I'm not rich or poor from month to month. I have a little steady that helps part-time, and then, the freelance is on top of that. So very thankful to get to work with them. And over the last couple of years, they've really been gearing up with the talent they've worked with. So you'll see, for instance, on this Smurfs game, I recruited a group that they call themselves the Kadama team. So it's Antoine Bauza, Ludovic Montblanc, Corentin Lebrat, Theo Rivere, and they are amazing. I've known them for a few years, and when we got the Smurfs opportunity, I was like, well, we need a Belgian on this because it's in their blood.
It is.
They've grown
They're
up
strong
with this. So Theo, I've known for the last probably 8-9 years at least, and I reached out to him and he said, I'll recruit the team, but I will take the lead. This is like when I was a baby, it was injected in me, so I have to. And actually, me and Theo got to visit the Smurfs headquarters a year ago, and that was an incredible opportunity to go down, visit with them. There is one person who does all the Smurfs art, just one person.
Really?
And so we actually went down there. We had structured a few pieces to give like a style guide, and we watched the guy draw right in front of us some of the art. It was incredible.
It's still hand smurfed?
Hand smurfed. Just one person.
I spent a weekend in Belgium, and it was everywhere. I mean, the Smurf. They don't call them the Smurfs. It's the Strumpf, or there's another word for it.
Yeah,
I can't think of the name.
Well, funny, going back for a moment too, I just found out. So Smurfs was all over the place in Belgium. This year, I actually got to go to Finland and Iceland, and they are obsessed with Donald Duck.
Really?
Everywhere it was Donald Duck, especially the comic. So clearly,
I thought you were going with the Moomin there for a second.
Oh no, Moonin is huge as well. So that's a legit thing as well. But I was shocked. Donald Duck is the darling of the Nordics.
Well, let's give Donald Duck some love. Check out the Donald Duck in Happy Camper. I just love that because all the shorts, it would always be Donald Duck in or Mickey Mouse in. That's just a class. I know you guys did that on purpose. And that's just a classic.
A nice homage.
30 to 45 minute game, 2 to 4 players, and it celebrates Donald Duck, the 90th anniversary of Maestro Media. So check that out. Can't wait to see them. That was good. That's gonna be a good one. We got time for one more. BJ from Board Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, DARYL Andrews, and we're talking spicy odd games and one of the spiciest ones. Although, DARYL, we've been waiting for a while for this one. This one's the anticipation has been building over at least a year. I think it was on my Essen look out for list last Essen, like 2 Essens ago. So this is Mistwin, designed by DARYL Andrews and some little person named Adrian Adamnescu. I know that name from somewhere, Steve.
Absolutely. Yeah, Adrian's one of my favorite humans in this world, and thankfully we got together on Sagarda, which is our best known game. And we sadly a year ago I moved away from the city. We shared the same city, but this game, if you've been waiting a while, me and Adrian have been waiting longer. It's funny.
That's true.
Mistwind we designed at the same time as Sagrada.
No.
Wait,
The
and Sagrada
exact
is
same time.
2017, right?
Yeah,
Or something?
2017 Sagrada came out. We worked on both of these starting. We went back to look, and both of these games started to have notes in 2015 and really started to be finished design in 2016. This game went through a roller coaster of opportunities and emotions. Ironically, one of the first publishers that ever saw it was Stephanie from First Fish Games, and she saw us pitching it. I won't say to what publisher, but she said, if you guys don't sign it, I will. And that publisher did sign it. And so this game has actually been signed 3 times from 3 different publishers. And finally, when it came back, the last time we said, okay, we need to go back to Stephanie because this is ridiculous. She knew from the start.
Mm-hmm.
And every time, I will confess, we were tempted by the big publisher. We were tempted by this idea of this is our chance. And even I look back and my best successes have been with the little guy. Sagrada, people don't remember, Floodgate had very few published games when we decided to go with them. Same thing. First Fish has had some really excellent small games. And when we were showing it around, when the big dog would say hey, come sign with us, we were tempted. And then it would be slow and it would get bounced back to us and released. And after a bunch of times, we said, well, we got to, dance with the girl who brought you. So we went back to Stephanie and we said, you know what? You had an early vision for this. Tell us more. And the coolest part was, by that point, her partner, who's an artist, is the artist for the game, had a full sketchbook. He had done at least half of the art. And so when we saw that, we were like, oh my goodness, this is incredible. And so we signed the game with First Fish, and Gordon ended up doing all the art for it, which is stunning, and it really gives it a chance, because a beautiful game, at least people will check it out, and then if it's a good game, they'll keep playing it. And so it really was another one of those moments of a great team coming together and putting everything into it, and people recognizing it and saying, hey, let's give this a try.
Steve, I think Daryl Andrews just wrote a Hallmark movie right here on Gumbo Live. I mean, did you hear him?
I hear it, and it's going to end with the magical moment with the snow coming down at Christmas, and we should have known that First Fish should have been our first choice.
Should have been the first love. We should have brought. I mean, that's what it seems like. Poor Daryl and his game, Mistwind, just kept looking at all these bad choices. The rich power broker.
Tempted. Well, and the cool part is
Beret starring in it. You got it covered.
Oh my God, Lacey Chabert could be Stephanie. Hey. We can do this. It's a Hallmark movie, Daryl.
You cast it. You make it happen. Yeah, and the fun part is Adrian's actually working now with Gordon on the next game in the same universe. So I'm looking forward to getting to play test that and see what else they've.
I'm looking at some stats here, Steve. We got 120 minutes, 3.12. Daryl, this is a crunchy game.
It's a little crunchy. It's got a little bite to it.
Nice medium weight. So one of my favorite games that you've ever done is Dice Theme Park. In fact, I just got the expansion. Haven't played it yet. Can't wait to try it. But where does it level? How do you compare it?
Well, and that's also a co-design with Adrian.
Right.
And I would say, honestly, I think it's pretty comparable.
Okay.
When it comes to the complexity, I would say that Mistwind's probably a smidge less. There's little fiddly parts of Dice Theme Park where you got to get your mind around all the little bits. Sure. That's probably a little less in Mistwind, but there's also, I think, especially because of the kind of the ramp up to this game, there's a little, analysis paralysis moment that people can fall victim to in the last round, because it really the first round you're like, oh, this is easy, this is fast, and then the next round you're like, okay. Ooh. And then the next round you're like, uh-oh, my brain's starting to explode.
Now, which one between Mistwind and Dice Theme Park, which one has more whales?
Oh, I think there's at least one more in Mistwind.
I mean, that's the selling point, Steve. I've been seeing Mistwind on social media forever, and it's been that that beautiful cover, but also we see the plastic pieces now. So there's gonna be little. We assume there's gonna be little whale pieces in there.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful. The components that they came up with are really satisfying. It probably shouldn't be so satisfying, but it is for some reason. This moving around those cool little bits, it feels good.
It's flying whales. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to. That's Mr. Oh, so what's the news? When should we see? If you can tell us, when should we see?
Well, this one should be out now. They especially I think after Gen Con they started they fulfilled around then, and so they should be in stores. You know, it's tough to, like, I'm sure it's a bigger game, so stores it's hard for stores to know what to order. So I feel like, you know, probably a bunch of stores ordered maybe 1 or 2 because they're a big box. They may have sold fast, but hopefully they'll get, you know, restocks in and all that kind of fun stuff.
I don't know if Timey's still in the chat, but there's a game that we play with Timey when he's in the chat, if he's still there. And it's a game I've only won twice. So has he ever played Mistwind? We'll throw it out there, but you guys have to guess. So Daryl, has Time Roller, the king of Twitch streaming, he streams hundreds of board games a year.
Oh, I've watched many.
Has he played Mistwind? What do you think?
I don't.
You got to commit.
I don't know, but I'll guess yes.
You'll guess yes, Steve?
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to say no. Just
to be the contrarian. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I'm going to Daryl. Daryl's the guest and he knows this game. I'm going to go with Tommy. So if Tommy's still in the chat, we'll find out.
Oh, this is nothing about the game. This has nothing to do with that. This is just trying to, you know, score points by going in the opposite, zigging when y'all zag.
Yeah, that's key.
All right.
You
so
gotta
that's
try the other strategy.
Check that out from First Fish, the true love of Mistwind, right? Check that on the home. It should be coming out on the Hallmark Channel next Christmas. Written by Steve O'Rourke, the name father.
It's been through some real different themes too. So the funny part is when it started, it was about messenger pigeons, setting up a network of messenger pigeons.
Steve, this movie is writing itself. I mean, I'm already seeing the scenes.
It then became about cruise ships on the Mediterranean.
Oh, okay.
And then it became about literal animal moles. Yeah, I think it was moles, and it was a spy network. And it was about building tunnels.
I get it.
Like naked mole rats with a tunnel?
With tunnels. Yeah, and then full circle.
Now and then naturally moves to air whales.
Obviously, right?
Yeah.
Mistwind. I just love that cover. So I can't wait.
Yeah.
I think actually, Steve, Jesse from iHeart Board Games has a copy. So now I'm gonna see if I can drive over to Baton Rouge and get that done. That's right across the swamp. So Verla says she's looking at pictures on BGG. Not familiar with this one, but happy to see teal as a player piece.
Oh yeah. I like teal and I like purple. Those are two colors I love seeing in a game. I don't demand it, but I like it when I see a game that brings out a little teal, a little purple.
Jared, who plays games with me on Twitch Tuesdays, Jared always looks for he doesn't want blue, he wants a different blue. Just like some crazy looking blue, like a teal or an aqua or something.
Yeah,
like
baby blue. Sure. I mean, as a Blue Jays fan, I'm never going to complain about that. Yeah, I'm the type of player. So everyone has they'll call a certain color that's their favorite color. Or I always play. I actually always call not yellow, and
I call gold.
Perfect. So we can play games.
Why do you say not yellow?
Well, part of it is it started because I used to play games all the time with Sen Fong Lim. We used to live in the same town. He was actually my original mentor to being a game designer, and he would call yellow, and I just would throw him off by yelling not yellow, and then he'd be like, "What? Oh, okay,
okay, I like that."
It's like calling backseat middle instead of shotgun.
You miss doing the Maple Herb show?
I do. Yeah, that was a ton of fun. Me and Sen started that. Rotated a few other co-hosts that helped us along the way. I did about, I want to say 100, 110 episodes. So congrats. I know how much of a big deal it is to do. You said 160.
163 now. Yep.
That's wow. That's incredible.
And Steve will tell you, it only feels like 162.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Not bad.
Full season. We're in the playoffs now.
No, but you have a new podcast. So this is a good time to talk about it.
I like that segue. I mean, Meeple Syrup was lovely, and I really enjoyed my time talking about game design. As a designer first. Honestly, it was my excuse to just ask game designers how to do it. And so I'd get to ask all my favorite game designers their tricks and learn from everyone. And I had a ton of fun, but I needed a break. And it's still going strong, maple syrup. But just recently, friends with Corey Thompson, friend of the show, we were chatting. We've done some travel together, and we grouped in Benita Carr, and we've only done a handful of episodes so far, but we've started this show called Nerd About. The idea is that we focus on a different city every episode, and we talk about it on kind of 3 topics. We talk about the food scene, the sights to see, and what's geeky, what's going on. Maybe conventions, stores, cafes, whatever is kind of in our nerddom. And so we celebrate that. We always bring on a guest that's someone from that city to also, fact check us and tell us some of the things we're missing.
Glenn's joining in. What's up?
Hey,
Glenn Flaherty from Board Games and Bourbon.
Oh, awesome. Hey, Glenn.
We're talking about Nerd About, a bunch of great episodes. I've seen the one with Steve. With Stephen Bonacore, and I saw another one. I can't remember the other one. It might have been the Dallas one. Did you do one with Isaac Vega? Maybe?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
I haven't seen the whole thing yet.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I love about it, and it literally just happened to me yesterday. Well, with Dallas, ironically, a friend of mine texted me and said, "Hey, I'm going to Dallas tomorrow. What do I got to hit up?" And now I could just here's the link. Watch it on your phone.
Yeah, right.
I'm like,
great show.
I could find all my research, or you could just watch it. So just go enjoy.
Great reason to have a new podcast to not have to talk with your friends and just be able to use links instead.
Yeah, that's shortcut all conversation.
And that's the Nerd About show. You can check it out on YouTube. I guess it comes out as often as you guys travel.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to do it every week or so, and
that's tough.
It's tough. And so we're not, for instance, we're taking a break for Christmas, and as we go, New Year's will probably get in the way, but we're trying to really kind of build up the hopper. We know that it takes a while for people to find and connect, and we want to kind of have a bunch of videos so people can pick and choose which ones they want to watch. And especially like before conventions, maybe you might tune in, maybe people will be like, oh, I'm gonna go to BGG Con a few weeks before. They'll see, oh, there's a Dallas one, I can check that out. And
well, if you look, I'm already subscribed, so everybody out there, make sure you subscribe to Nerd About so you can get that.
Great idea.
This is a board game show. Daryl, do you know what we have to do on a board game show?
I have no idea.
We got to play a board game.
Okay.
All right, so let's play a game. Steve, tell Daryl what the rules are for our little game.
I think I might let you do that because you're going to need me to have pencil and paper, aren't you?
Yes, you get the pencil paper.
Okay, I'm going to go run. You do the chat prep.
Oh, Glenn's got a new thing coming up called Tiki Tabletop. Ooh.
No way.
Oh,
Glenn, we need to chat. I might have some overlap potential with you, buddy.
Oh, Glenn, there we go. You got a guest right here. So, all right. So what we're going to do is we're doing the Did You Know game, and this game is very simple, Daryl. I'm going to ask 3 or 4 trivia questions. But you don't have to actually know the answer. You just have to show us, make us think you know the answer. Okay.
Well, I do.
So you probably exactly. You got the game already. So you and Steve are going to be competing though. So I'm going to ask one of the questions with you, one of the questions with Steve, and when I ask you the question, you answer it, and you got to convince Steve that you know it, because Steve, if I remember right, if Daryl's right, he gets a point.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, if you guess right, that Daryl was right, you get a point. But if you go contrarian and you say Daryl's wrong, you get 2 points.
And you're right, you get 2.
Nothing.
Yep.
Ooh.
So well, there's only a few questions, and then we have a
special
surprise at the end. But
okay, I feel confident.
All right, right.
Well, so the rules are that until BJ decides they're not.
Until they're not, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Daryl, any questions, or do you feel like you know how to play the Did You Know game?
I feel like I know as well as I'm gonna.
Okay, good. Here we go. So this is the Ontario edition of Did You Know?
Advantage me.
So Daryl, I know you like music. What famous pop singer was born right there in London, Ontario? And if you need a hint, let me know. But if not, I feel you know this already. So,
all right. Well, I'm excited and confident in saying Avril Lavigne.
Steve. So what do you think?
I will follow Daryl with that.
She was born in Belleville, not London. Sorry, Steve, she was not. Do you know who it really is, Daryl?
Well, I was gonna guess you're Justin Bieber.
It is Justin Bieber.
Yeah, but I thought it'd be more fun to try to go with that.
Very good. Okay, so scores.
Which fun fact? I used to run a retreat at a camp that Bieber used to go to, and that's why I knew he as a child. We used to run our board game retreat at the camp we used to go to.
Did I mess that one up, Steve?
I got a question then, BJ, because Daryl didn't give the right answer.
Oh, he didn't. That's right.
So I don't get anything?
No point.
Unless Steve got it wrong.
I did get it wrong.
Oh, well, then Daryl gets the points.
Daryl gets all two. If Daryl can get me off topic, Daryl gets all two. And if I go contrary and I'm right, Daryl gets all. Okay.
Absolutely.
That makes perfect sense.
We play this game the same every week.
If you win alone, you get it all.
I went selfish to gain the lead. I get it.
We play this game consistently the same way every week. We don't change the rules every week.
No.
We probably play this game 5 different ways, Daryl. So, all right.
That's exactly how game designers do it. Whenever you play it differently, when you play a game, it's what are the rules this time?
We're iterating.
It's not what it says in the book.
Yeah,
we're iterating. Steve, this question's for you because I know how much you know about London, Ontario.
Absolutely.
So London, Ontario, backyard right there from New York City, has a cool, or Long Island, actually. It's like a suburb of Long Island.
Spitting distance.
Has a cool nickname. I know you don't know, but I'll give you a hint.
Thank you. Yeah.
It would be fair to give him a hint, right?
Yeah, give him a hint. Give him a hint.
There are over 4 million trees in the city of London, Ontario. So the name father, who I'm sure knows this answer, what is the nickname of London, Ontario? Look at his face. Look at Steve, you're the name father. I gave you a hint. You should be able to get it. All right, Evan.
All right.
No, it's not Farts McGee. That was not the singer born in London.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, wait, we got a lifeline. Tiderwood Town. I don't think
Tiderwood Town. I am at a loss, so I'm gonna say Pine City. I don't know.
Arbor multitudinous. I can't even sing.
Arbor multitudinous. Okay, Tinderwood Town.
Tinderwood is better.
Zero for me. Daryl, take your points.
He is wrong.
Take your points.
It is Forest City.
It is Forest City. That's right. I even threw it out there for you, Steve. 1 million trees. Good job. All right.
Okay.
So Daryl gets 2
more
points. He said you were wrong.
It's just going to make my comeback all the more glorious.
It's the snowball.
Bring it.
It's like a snowball going downhill. Okay, Mr. Smarty Pants, DARYL Andrews, who knows everything about London. Which city has more trees? London, Ontario, or London, England?
Ooh. Okay. I mean,
because no one calls England Forest City.
No, but it is a lot bigger. So I gotta go with London, UK. I don't know. It's my
very questionable, Steve. Very questionable.
Yeah. At this point now, I am in such a deep hole. I'm going to keep digging, and I'm going to zag. I'll say London, Ontario.
You're saying London, Ontario has more? Yeah. I have good news for you, Steve. Daryl was right. It's London, United Kingdom.
That's what I would have said, but at this point now, it's like it's go hunting for points.
It's fair. It's understandable.
Yeah, no, London still has 8.5 million trees. Would you believe that, Daryl? 8.5.
If I get 0 points, is it like shooting the moon?
Yeah.
Okay. So long as we're playing a different game.
That's an auto win. That's an auto win.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Wait, I thought we were talking about Ontario, not Ottawa, right? You said Ottawa?
Oh God.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. All right. So last question before we go to our special surprise. And this one goes to Steve. Another just gimme, just like the last one.
Sure. Layup.
Which team has won more World Series? The Cubs or the Blue Jays? You got a hint earlier from Daryl.
Blue Jays.
Cubs or Blue Jays?
Okay.
Have you been drinking? Yes,
Cubbies.
Right here. Cubbies, he says. Daryl, do you know the answer? Is Steve right?
No, the Cubs just broke the curse with 1 win, but the Blue Jays won 2 back-to-back, 92 and 93.
Daryl, I have good news for you. Steve is right. The Cubs have 3 and the Blue Jays have 2. Because don't forget, Tinkers to Ever to Chance.
Goes back
in the
a ways.
aughts, they were actually pretty good. The Cubbies were.
Yeah.
Oh, way back. Right.
Yeah, they won in
You gotta
they
go
won in
deep
06
on
and
it.
08, if I remember
I don't
right.
count those years.
Oh, Evan would have said the Blue Jays. Evan would have said the Blue Jays.
But honestly, I needed you to score something, so you couldn't shoot.
You did. So much for me shooting the moon.
All right.
I'm shooting myself in the foot, not shooting the moon. But
Well,
here's BJ's surprise, where everything all goes to hell in a handbasket.
This is where you get a chance to get 1,000 points, Steve and Daryl.
Yep.
Okay, so this is where it is.
Uh-oh.
And this one this final question we call the rank 'em. Rank 'em.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you, because I know you love music, Daryl. Right?
Sure. Who doesn't?
Steve loves music.
Yes.
I'm going to give you 5 singers, but you're not going to know the order. I'm just going to give them to you one at a time.
Okay.
And you've got to rank them from 1 to 5.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
But you're going to rank them based on what ChatGPT says are the greatest Canadian singers of all time.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Steve, you're going to do the same thing.
GPT.
I'm doing the same thing. And you said this is 1,000 points for the.
You're getting 1,000,000 points if you get.
Oh, 1,000,000 points
per one right.
This is Did You Know the QE edition?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You have to get them exactly right though, Daryl. So if you say
for all million.
Yeah, exactly. So if you say, this person is number 1, they have to be number 1. Okay.
Thank you, Evan.
If I say all 5 are number 1, one of them will be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, actually,
you actually have to have.
Spoiler alert, that was one of the 5, and I took it out because I just wasn't sure if Steve knew Gordon Lightfoot.
Oh, please.
Wasn't sure. If you've heard of a little song about a wreck in the Great Lakes.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so I took that one out. Gordon Lightfoot is not included. But here we go.
National treasure.
Are we ready? Are we ready? All of these singers, by the way, were born in Ontario.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm going to give them to you. The first one is Bryan Adams. So don't say where it is. Just write down where in the top 5 you put him.
And give it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I need to write. Uh-oh.
Oh shoot! Well, you know what? If you don't want to write it down, Steve,
I'll show a number of fingers.
He can type them in private chat, and I won't look.
Can you do that in private chat?
Private chat. Okay.
Yeah.
Bryan Adams, 1 to 5.
Bryan Adams this is singer, not musician. Singer.
Summer of '69. Got it.
It's how ChatGPT ranks the 5 greatest Canadian pop singers. Okay. All right, we're ready for number 2?
Yep.
You've committed your answer? Okay.
Mine's blocked.
Avril Lavigne, mentioned earlier in the broadcast. But did you save a spot for her, hopefully? Near the top? We'll see. And again, this is not my ranking. This is ChatGPT's ranking.
ChatGPT knows. ChatGPT knows.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Beepster. London, Ontario's favorite. Justin Bieber. I hope the chat crew is playing along, man. I hope they're putting it down. Let's see how many of you guys can guess what ChatGPT ranks as the top 5 Canadian singers born in Ontario. So far, we've got Bryan Adams, Avril Lavigne, and Justin Bieber. And you got locked in? Y'all are locked in?
Yep.
I'm
Number
locked.
4, a little known person named Drake. Hadn't sold many albums, right? Hopefully you saved the spot for Drake. Oh, he's feeling. I'm telling you, Daryl's on it, Steve. I think you're in trouble.
I feel it. I
can make it like
think I'm in trouble? I know I'm in trouble.
I can make it like a zillion points, and I think Daryl's still going to get this one. And last but not least, the queen of country, 90s country, Shania Twain, born in a little town. I forget exactly which town, but it's a little small town over there.
I feel okay about my choices.
Daryl, may I just say, I feel like a loser.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So, Steve, who did you have for your, and this is depending on commercial success, influence, musical quality, the ranking might look like. ChatGPT was so hesitant about my question. They were like, the ranking might look like this. So, number 5.
You want my 5 in a row?
Yeah. Give us your 5 in a row.
All right. I had
number 5 or all 5?
We'll count up.
Yeah, count up
count
from
up.
5 up.
All right. I had Shania Twain at number 5.
Okay.
Bryan Adams at number 4.
Interesting.
Avril Lavigne at 3.
You did amazing, Steve.
Bieber at 2, and Drake at 1.
You did amazing. All right. So Evan's got his locked in. Avril, Brian, Shania, Drake, and Justin. All right.
Okay.
What you got, Daryl?
Well, I'm very similar. Avril at number 5.
Okay.
Bryan Adams at number 4.
Okay.
Shania at number 3.
Okay.
Bieber 2. Drake number 1.
Okay. So are we ready for the numbers?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if it had been me, it'd have been Bryan Adams 1 through 5. I would have just said Bryan Adams all the way through.
Yeah.
So I had back then. I had every single album of his,
Absolutely.
including some of the stuff before it got released. So
Sure.
we've got number 5. Celine Dion's from Montreal, right? She's not from.
Yeah.
She's not.
Yeah.
from
No,
Ontario.
she's not from Ontario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Canadian
Justin-
pride. We still claim her, but
That's right. Justin Bieber, number 5.
wow.
Wow.
Love.
Number 5.
Me and Steve both said 2.
We nothing there.
Avril Lavigne, number 4.
Wow.
That was my 5.
This is a truer statement. Celine Dion was born everywhere in Canada.
I mean,
Everybody
she is Canada. She's the pride of Canada.
Number 3. She might soon be the prime minister, by the way, Daryl.
Let's
We'll
hope.
see. Number 3. I think this is terrible. I almost wanted to throw a pin at my computer. Bryan Adams, number 3. Clearly number 1. Chat GPT.
Wow. Did you get that,
Wow.
Steve?
I don't have anything. I don't
Not
think I
one?
have anything yet either. I think
No.
I think this is going to be a tie for this
I
last
think
one.
this.
because
I think
the
we're gonna be
same.
tied for number 1. We'll see.
Yeah.
Number 2, Shania Twain.
Okay.
Yeah.
And number 1, Drake. I think everybody got
And
Drake.
we all
each
said.
got- We each
Oh
got
no,
one.
no, Evan.
Yeah.
Evan had Justin as number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, did Evan get any of them right?
No.
No.
I do not think so. But to be fair, Daryl and I both only got one right.
We got the one that mattered.
We got the one that mattered. That's exactly right. I'll ride your coattails on that one. I'll say yeah. So yeah, there's not a competition here.
Name, father, give us the totals. What was the final
since
result?
question 5 doesn't really count since we tied on it. It ends up being Daryl with 6 meaningful points, me with 2 meaningful points.
Oh, so Daryl is the winner of the
Daryl
Did You
is
Know
the
game.
big winner.
Thank you.
He did know.
Ontario edition. We would expect Daryl to do very well.
I mean, I got to
right?
represent. I might get kicked out of Ontario otherwise.
Evan got a big old goose egg. He went ko-no-yo with that one. Oh, sorry about that.
Ah,
All right, board
Wow.
gamers, that's it for another episode of Gumbo Live. I want to thank our friends at Game Toppers LLC for sponsoring our game here. Game Time, Did You Know game. Don't forget, make your game nights a showstopper when you play on a Game Topper. I want to thank our guest, DARYL ANDREWS. Thanks for coming in, Daryl.
Yes.
oh,
thank
my
you.
pleasure. Really
If
love
they
it.
want to know more about Ley Lines or Mistwin or the Donald Duck game or anything you've done with Mike with Maestro Media, how can they get in touch with you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, on most social medias, you can find me just my full name, DARYL ANDREWS. And yeah, I love chatting about games. And if you're a designer out there, I love talking to designers. So please reach out.
Make sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/BoardGameGumbo, and our YouTube channel. It helps us to get the word out about all of our upcoming shows. No show next week or the week after. We've got the Christmas holidays. We'll be enjoying some eggnog, right, Steve?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
But catch us on Twitch. After that, we'll be on twitch.tv/BoardGameGumbo, where we play your games live on TV, on Twitch. Maybe even missed one if I can talk Jesse into coming over from Baton Rouge. That would be fun. I'm BJ from Board Game Gumbo, and for Steve and for Daryl, thanks for coming in again, Daryl. And until next time, laissez les bon temps rouler.
Bye, all.
We should do the Daryl face, don't you think?
Yeah.